Hi, I'm Sam, and this is Sam Says. Today I'm going to talk to you about Fantastiqa Rival Realms, which is a two-player game designed by Alf Siegert and published by Eagle Gryphon Games. Fantastiqa Rival Realms is set in the same universe as another game that's designed by Alf Siegert and published by Eagle Gryphon, which is Fantastiqa. That's a game that came out several years ago, and although this is in the same realm, it is a completely different game. So let's talk about Fantastiqa Rival Realms. So when you set up the game, you are going to start off with, you'll have six of these mountain or valley cards. So the valley is the green, the mountain is the red. And whoever is the first player is going to set them up kind of like this without these cards in the middle. And they will randomly flip three to one side. So you'll start with all of them as mountains or all of them as valleys, and they'll flip half on each row to the other side. Throughout the game, what you're going to be doing is on your turn, you will have 5 cards in your hand or more potentially, but you'll either place a card in your realm or you go exploring. To place a card in your realm, you'll have your deck of cards, and you place one of your cards in a place where it makes sense. So this right here, this card could go on top of that. Now my explorer is there, so I'd get to immediately explore it for free. But that's kind of a side category. What you're doing is you're actually making these numerically from low to high. And so you're trying to fill up as much of your realm as possible and explore it. So it's very easy to place a realm in, or to place a location. You just put it in here, you make sure that it's moving in ascending order from low to high. As long as it fits, you can place it there. Okay? To go exploring is a little bit different. To explore, you are actually going to be discarding cards from your hand into your opponent's potential draw pile. They call it your Raven's Nest. And you have to discard a card matching the same terrain type. And when you move on to it, you explore it. If it has a token on it, like this one does, you actually get to take that token, and it can be used for later purposes, whether it be exploring if it's a monster, or right here, like this is an artifact, it's going to do something special for you, or a gem, which also does something special for you, or could be held to the end of the game for an extra victory point. So there's a couple of different things you can do, but that's the basic piece of the game. The game will end when either the deck runs out, and this deck is cards 1 through 50. There are 5 different terrain types and 10 cards of each. Or when someone has placed a card in every single location of their realm. Additionally, there are quests that you can obtain for being the first one to fill up one of your realms, collecting all the monsters, exploring all 4 corners, or exploring all 5 region types. And really, that's the game. Obviously, there are a few nitty-gritty details that I didn't go into, but it takes not that much longer to explain. This is a very easy game to get into, and as a result, it makes this game very accessible. You could play this with some of your probably hardcore gamer friends, and both of you would have a fun time kind of figuring out the puzzle of building your realm low to high, while also moving your adventure and kind of timing out when the best time to adventure, when is the best time to continue to build up, and kind of discarding your cards to adventure, but discarding them into your opponent's draw pile is interesting because you're trying to pay attention to their board and say, okay, what cards do they need to explore from where they are? Do I really want to give them this hills card, or do I really want to give them those wetlands? And so there's some fun aspects to it as far as when you're playing against a really worthy opponent. But also it's simple enough that you could easily get a kid into this, and they would enjoy it because it's not difficult to comprehend, but it's going to be fun for both of you. I am a big fan of this game. I think it's very fun. There are some really cool strategic aspects to it. The cards, as I mentioned, there were 5 different terrain types, and there are 10 cards of each terrain type. So they actually go up by 5. So this is the 3 of the forest, and it goes up to the 8 of the forest, and then the next card would be the 13. So it just goes up by 5, so you know exactly where those cards are. And that becomes important because for endgame scoring, for every, let's see, do I have one? So like these 2 cards were on the same realm, and they're next to each other, and they're the same type. That's going to be additional 2 points, which is great. So it kind of encourages you to put cards of the same terrain type next to each other. However, if like here, there's a valley that's separating these two, if you have the same terrain type passing through a valley, That is really cool because that gives you 3 points. You actually get more points for matching between a valley than you do within the same realm. But so you're trying to score these victory points as you are placing your map. So it adds an additional aspect of, okay, how can I maximize my victory points? Adventuring is cool because as you go and adventure, you can adventure as many times as you want up to the limit of cards in your hand or tokens that you use. But you can't double back. And you can't go through mountains. So like I have a valley right here. If I had the cards to do it, I could go through and explore there and then explore here. And when you explore something, you actually tap it. You turn it to the side. If I had another forest card, I could go there. And this monster, so as soon as I explore that, I pick up this monster. And this monster, I don't know if you can tell, it's got the green of the forest symbol on it. What that shows is that I can keep this in front of me and then use it either now or at a later time to explore a green, a forest card without discarding a card. So as you go through and collect these monsters, there's one monster for each type, and there's also the dragon, which is a wild that you can use for any type. So you can build some pretty cool combos as you go through. You may not need the cards to go through and keep exploring, but if you're picking up the right monsters along the way, you can just get a big old combo, and you get extra points at the end for having explored places on your board. Also, if you have something already explored, you can freely move through it. So let's say I already had this explored and I was here, I could easily just move up through there without an issue. To add to your game, something that's really cool is you have these optional events, and there's a ton of them. You can see all these events. So after you've played the base game, you feel pretty comfortable with it, you can actually come through and add in these events that get shuffled into the main deck. And then when someone is drawing, if they were to draw an event, the event happens. And these events are really cool, and they add a lot of variety to the game. I love when an expansion does this for a game, in that this expansion is not adding complexity, so it's not making the game harder or more difficult, but it's giving you variety in how you play, and for me, it's increasing the fun of the game. So, like this one, card trick. So when it pulls out, it says players may shuffle as many cards as they like back into the region deck and then redraw as usual. So if I had 2 or 3 cards in my hand, then it's like, geez, I really don't need to explore these regions for a while, and they're not going to fit on my grid. Ugh, they're kind of trash. That card trick pulls out, all of a sudden, boom, you can redraw. Stuff like that is cool, and it affects both players all the time. Another thing you can do is you can add a random enhancement to the game. And there are gameplay enhancements, there are setup enhancements, something that, although it won't change the game drastically, will give you a bit of variety for the game. I love that. It works so well, and these are just built in, these are coming standard with the game. That is brilliant! Thank you! Thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. I love it when they build in a base game and add in kind of like a mini expansion that, like I said, doesn't add complexity, but adds fun and adds a little variety. That is a great thing to include in a game. Overall, I am very pleased with this game. The artwork, I think, is actually borrowed from a museum. They've gotten permission to use some of this artwork from a museum, and it's beautiful. I mean, you look at some of these, I think we saw, one of my friends and I were mentioning this. I don't know if this is a Rembrandt, if these are flowers from a Rembrandt or not. But I mean, the artwork in this is just beautiful. It really is. I'm very impressed with the artwork. It's a very nice game to look at. Like I said, it's easy to get into, easy to play. It's a 2-player game. It doesn't take a long time. I mean, you're looking at maybe 20 minutes. With the explanation, maybe 25. But it's something that I could easily play, reshuffle, and say, all right, let's do this again. That I've just been very pleased with this game. I do want to mention one thing, and I will grab it. The rule book. This is terrible. The rule book is really bad in this game. As I went through, and I play a lot of games, I read a lot of rule books. I was reading this, and I was playing this with a friend, because I said, okay, I got to do a review on this, like, let's play it, it's just him and I. We were having a rough go. Read through the rules, I still wasn't totally clear on how to play. As I told you, this is a simple game. It is not difficult to comprehend, not difficult to understand, but if you're only going from the rule book, it makes it hard. If you can find a how to play video out there, watch the how to play. I mean, I can't believe that it would take more than 5 or 6 minutes in a how to play video to actually teach how to play this game, and it will be far better than trying to read this. I struggled through it. It didn't take a long time, but when we started the game, I did not feel confident that I knew how to play, which I feel like after I read a rule book, I should feel at least semi-confident that I know how to play, and I may come up on a situation where it's like, oh, I need to reference this. I'm sure it told me, but I just don't remember this specific situation. That, I think, is fine. But you should at least have a grasp of how to play. I had a grasp of how to set up the game-ish, and then we started playing, like, well, can I do this? I think so. I was referencing the rulebook. About halfway through our first game, I finally felt confident in what I was doing. But I feel like for a game of this complexity level, it shouldn't be that hard. So if you can find a how to play video when you buy this game, watch the how to play video and just kind of ignore this. Overall, though, I love it. This is a game that's going to stay in my collection. It's fun. It's small. I mean, I can travel with this. It'll take up a little bit of space, so it's not a great game to like play at the airport or anything like that. But it is a good travel game you can play in a hotel, just because of its size and complexity and time. I enjoyed this game a lot. So, thank you for watching. I'm Sam. This is Sam Says. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, check me out here on my YouTube page, but also on Instagram. I'd love to hear your comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And if you have a game that you'd like me to look at, let me know. So thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day. And game on.